Before Margot Robbie became one of the highest-paid actresses in the world, she was a teenager working 3 jobs at the same time, including cleaning houses and making sandwiches, just to help her mother pay the bills. How did a farm girl from Australia, with no connections to Hollywood, manage to break into the toughest industry in the world? Margot Elise Robbie was born on July 2, 1990, in Queensland, Australia. She grew up in a busy house. Her parents separated when she was young. After that, her mother had to raise 4 children mostly by herself. Her mother worked as a physiotherapist. She worked very hard to provide for the family. During her childhood, Margot spent a lot of time on her grandparents' farm. She loved being outside. She would run around, play in the dirt, and explore the large fields. Life on the farm taught her how to work hard. She saw her family doing physical labor every single day. Even though they lived a happy life, money was always tight. The family had to be careful with their spending. Margot understood this from a young age. She knew she had to help her mother. She did not want her mother to struggle alone. Instead of playing with friends all the time, Margot started working. By the time she was a teenager, she had a very busy schedule. She was only 16 years old, but she was working 3 different jobs. She worked at a local pharmacy, she cleaned houses, and she made sandwiches at a Subway restaurant. Every day was a long day. She would wake up early, go to school, and then go straight to work. She worked on the weekends too. While she was making sandwiches, she would watch the customers. She always tried to be fast and efficient. She wanted to do a good job, no matter what she was doing. Earning her own money gave her a sense of independence, but even with 3 jobs, her life was about to become much more difficult. Despite her busy work schedule, Margot had a secret dream. She wanted to be an actress. She loved watching movies. She loved the idea of telling stories and becoming different characters. But acting seemed like an impossible dream. For a girl from a small town in Australia, she did not know anyone in the entertainment business. Her family did not have money to send her to an expensive acting school. However, Margot was determined. She started saving as much money as she could. Every time she got paid, she put some money away for her future. When she was 17 years old, she made a huge decision. She decided to leave her hometown. She packed her bags and moved to Melbourne. Melbourne is a big city in Australia. It is a place where many television shows are filmed. Moving away from home was frightening. She was alone in a new city. She had to find a place to live. She had to find a way to support herself. She did not have a lot of money in her bank account. Because she needed to pay her rent, she got another job making sandwiches at another Subway restaurant. She also worked in a cafe. Sometimes she would make coffee for famous actors who worked at a nearby television studio. She would watch them drink their coffee. She wanted to be on the other side of the counter. She wanted to be the one acting in the studio. This desire pushed her to work even harder, leading to a risk that could ruin her chances forever. In Melbourne, Margot started taking acting classes. She used her saved money to pay for the lessons. She went to class after working long hours at the cafe. She was always tired, but she never complained. She listened to her teachers and practiced her lines every night. Soon, she started looking for acting jobs. She hired an agent to help her find work. At first, she only got small parts in independent films and commercials. These jobs did not pay very much money, but they gave her valuable experience. She learned how to stand in front of a camera. She learned how to take directions from a director. One day, her agent called her with exciting news. There was an audition for a very popular Australian television show called Neighbours. This show had been on television for many years. Many famous Australian actors started their careers on this show. Margot was very nervous about the audition. She prepared as much as she could. When the day came, she went to the studio. She performed her scene for the casting directors. After she finished, she felt terrible. She thought she did a bad job. She was so sure that she failed, she decided to go on a vacation with her boyfriend. She traveled to Canada to go snowboarding. She thought her chance to be on television was gone. But while she was in the freezing mountains of Canada, her phone rang. It was her agent. Her agent told her that she got the part. The casting directors loved her performance. Margot was shocked. She had to pack her bags immediately. She flew back to Australia right away. She started working on the show only a few days later. She played a character named Donna Friedman. At first, her character was only supposed to be on the show for a few episodes. But the audience loved her. The writers decided to make her a permanent character. For the next 3 years, Margot worked on Neighbours. It was a very demanding job. They filmed new episodes every week. She had to memorize many pages of dialogue every single day. She worked very long hours. This job was like a boot camp for acting. It taught her discipline. It taught her how to work quickly under pressure. She became a professional actress. She was finally making a living by doing what she loved. But success in Australia was not enough for her, and she was about to leave everything behind. Even though she was successful in her home country, Margot had a bigger dream. She wanted to work in Hollywood. She wanted to be in major movies. She knew that to achieve this dream, she had to move to America. She was very smart about her plan. She did not just quit her job and fly to Los Angeles blindly. She prepared for a long time. While she was still working on Neighbours, she started working with a dialect coach. She needed to learn how to speak with a perfect American accent. For months, she practiced her accent. She listened to American television shows. She repeated words over and over again. She wanted to sound like she was born in America. She also saved a lot of money. She knew that Los Angeles was an expensive city. She knew that it might take a long time to find a job there. When her contract with Neighbours ended, she packed her bags again. She said goodbye to her family and friends. Arriving in Los Angeles was completely different from arriving in Melbourne. Los Angeles was massive. The competition was fierce. Thousands of beautiful and talented people move there every year to become actors. Most of them fail. Margot lived in a small apartment with a friend. She started going to auditions. Just like before, she faced rejection. She went to many meetings. She tried to get parts in different television shows. Eventually, she got a role in an American television series called Pan Am. The show was about flight attendants in the 1960s. Margot was very excited. She finally had a job in America. She worked hard on the show. However, the excitement did not last long. The television network canceled the show after only one season. The ratings were not good enough. Margot was out of a job again. This failure could have sent her back to Australia, but instead, it led her to the most important meeting of her life. Margot was disappointed, but she refused to give up. She continued to go to auditions. In 2012, she received a script for a new movie. The movie was called The Wolf of Wall Street. It was going to be directed by a legendary director named Martin Scorsese. The main character was going to be played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio was one of the biggest movie stars in the world. The role that Margot was auditioning for was the character of his wife. Thousands of actresses wanted this part. It was a role that could change a career overnight. Margot managed to get an audition. She met with the casting director. She read her lines. She did well enough to get a callback. A callback means the director wants to see you again. This time, Margot was going to read her lines with Leonardo DiCaprio himself. Martin Scorsese was also going to be in the room. On the day of the callback, Margot was terrified. She was just a young woman from a farm in Australia. Now she was standing in a room with two Hollywood legends. During the audition, she acted out a scene with Leonardo. In the scene, their characters were having a massive argument. Leonardo was a very powerful actor. He started yelling his lines. He was very intense. Margot felt like she was losing control of the scene. She felt like she was not doing enough. She knew she had only a few seconds to make a lasting impression. If she did not do something bold, she would lose the role forever. As the argument in the scene continued, Leonardo got close to her face. He said his line and then waited for her response. Instead of saying the words written on the paper, Margot did something completely unexpected. She raised her hand and slapped Leonardo DiCaprio hard across the face. The sound echoed in the quiet room. Margot froze. She thought she had made a terrible mistake. She thought she was going to be arrested for hitting a famous actor. She panicked, but instead of being angry, Leonardo started laughing. Martin Scorsese sat up in his chair. He was amazed. The slap was not in the script. It was completely unscripted. It was a moment of pure, raw emotion. That sudden, shocking slap proved to the director that Margot had the fire needed for the character. She was fearless. A few days later, she received the call. She got the part. The Wolf of Wall Street was released in theaters, and it was a massive success. Margot Robbie's performance was incredible. She stood out in every scene she was in. Overnight, she transformed from an unknown actress into a global star. Since that movie, her career has grown rapidly. She has starred in many major films. She played a famous comic book villain. She played an ice skater. She even played a famous plastic doll in one of the most successful movies of all time. She also started her own production company. She wanted to create her own movies. She wanted to give opportunities to female directors and writers. She is now one of the most powerful women in the entertainment industry. Looking back at her journey, her story is truly remarkable. She started by making sandwiches and cleaning houses in a small town. She made coffee for actors in Melbourne. She saved her money, took risks, and never stopped working hard. She proved that talent and extreme dedication can take you from a local pharmacy in Australia to the biggest stages in Hollywood. Sometimes, the distance between making coffee for stars and becoming one yourself is simply the courage to take a swing when the moment is right. Need a quick review? Let's do it. Pay the bills to earn enough money to buy the things you need. He works 2 jobs just to pay the bills for his family. Break into, to successfully enter a difficult business or profession, it is very hard to break into the music industry. Provide for, to give someone the things they need, like food and money. My parents worked hard to provide for our family. Money was tight. There was not a lot of money. It was difficult to pay for things. After she lost her job, money was tight for a few months. Struggle, to try very hard to do something that is difficult. She had to struggle to finish the project on time. Sense of independence, the feeling of being free and not needing help from others. Getting his first car gave him a great sense of independence. Determined, wanting to do something very much and not letting anyone stop you. He was determined to pass the difficult exam. Frightening, making you feel afraid or very nervous. Walking alone in the dark forest was a frightening experience. Valuable experience, knowledge or skill that is very useful. Working as a volunteer was a valuable experience for me. Audition, a short performance to see if you are good enough for a role. She has an important audition for a new movie next week. Right away, immediately or very soon, when you get home from school, please call me right away. Permanent, lasting for a long time or forever. After working there for a year, she was offered a permanent job. Demanding, needing a lot of time, energy, or attention. Being a parent of a young child is a very demanding job. Fierce, very strong, powerful, or aggressive. The 2 teams have a fierce competition between them. Refuse to give up, to not stop trying even when it is very difficult. Even when she felt tired, she refused to give up on her dream. Stand out, to be very easy to see or notice. His bright yellow jacket really stood out in the crowd. If you enjoyed this journey and want to master your English while exploring fascinating real stories, surprising facts, real crime cases, and remarkable moments from history and science, please subscribe and like the channel. Your support helps us bring you more incredible stories every week, so stay tuned for our next episode.